Spiritual food for thought.
Welcome back to Spiritual Food for Thought. At the moment, we're looking at some verses that people use to justify disregarding the Sabbath and doing things on the first day of the week. Last time, we talked a little bit about how if you look in the book of Acts, how the disciples came together to break bread on the first day of the week. That's mentioned once in Acts chapter 20. And yet, from Acts chapter 18 and previously, we have over 10 times that the disciples were recorded as doing things on the Sabbath. So unless that change from Sabbath to first day occurred sometime between Acts 18 and Acts 20, which we're not going to find evidence for that in Scripture, we really don't have convincing evidence that, it's changed now. And in fact, if we were just going to, without predetermined outcome, if we were just going to look at what they did in Scripture and look at the book of Acts, then we would have at least a 10-1 that we would choose the Sabbath over the first day of the week. There is another verse where the disciples are recorded as doing something on the first day of the week. And here's what it is. In John chapter 20, verse 19, it says, "Then the same day at evening, being the first day of the week, when the doors were shut where the disciples were assembled." So we see here, the disciples were assembled, and it was the first day of the week. But the verse continues, "Where the disciples were assembled for fear of the Jews, came Jesus and stood in the midst, and said unto them, Peace be unto you." So the purpose of their assembly was that they were gathered together because they were afraid of the Jews. Do you know why they were afraid of the Jews? Because the Jews had just had Jesus crucified and killed. That's why. If we back up to the beginning of John chapter 20, we have something interesting that's revealed. It says, "The first day of the week cometh Mary Magdalene early, when it was yet dark, unto the sepulchre, and seeth the stone taken away from the sepulchre." So, sundown, Saturday night would have happened. That would have begun the first day of the week. And then you would have had the day that followed the evening and the morning, first day, right? So here it says, she came early on the first day of the week when it was yet dark. The darkness of the day would come first, then the light. And she came to the sepulchre and saw that it was empty. The purpose of the first day being mentioned in verse 19 is it says, then the same day. The same day what? The same day when Mary Magdalene came and found that the tomb was empty and found that Jesus had risen. That same day at evening, so when that day was about gone, it was still the first day of the week here, and that's when they were gathered together and assembled for fear of the Jews. This is not talking about them having some sort of Bible study. This is not talking about them having church. This is not talking about anything. The reason that first day is mentioned here is because they're pointing that this is the same day. This is the exact same day that the body of Jesus Christ turned up missing. We know how it turned up missing because he is risen, but at this point, it's just used as evidence to show that it was the same day. And that's why you have the first day of the week in 21 and the first day of the week in 2019. So just like the one in Acts, if we isolate this and say, here it says the disciples were assembled on the first day of the week. Yeah, it does. It's pointing to the same day he rose. They happened to be together, locked in a building because they were afraid. Is our custom now that we're going to lock ourselves in building because we're afraid on the first day of the week? Of course not. But it's also not that we should do this because they're having church. There's nothing actually in this verse, or that we can glean from this verse, that would lead us to the conclusion that we don't need to worry at all about obeying the fourth commandment. We can claim, 10 commandments are good, 10 commandments are good, but don't worry about the fourth. We don't get that from this text. And we definitely don't get that the first day of the week replaced the Sabbath from this verse. There's one more verse I'm aware of that we'll cover next time, kind of talking about anything regarding the first day of the week, and I really hope when we look at this, you guys can see part of the big picture. I'll draw a couple conclusions after it, but I hope that by taking this slowly, by giving you time to think and pray and research, you're just going to see that even based on the New Testament, the stories we've been told by the modern church do not hold up because they're not in line with what God says, especially not what He already said, and they're not in line with what the text actually reveals. Be blessed.
Thank you for watching. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe.